Here's our one and only bay laurel tree. I have to tell you a little history of this particular plant. About 15 years ago, it started out in a 3-gallon pot. Nobody bought it, so then it got into a 7-gallon pot. Nobody bought it. So anyway, eventually it ends up in this like 25-gallon pot. And it was a whole different situation with our potted plants. And a lot of the 25-gallon ones were out in the grove, and they had little emitters for each plant. And all of the other big plants sold, and then we had the orphan bay laurel. And it seemed to be doing okay on its own, but never did great. So several months ago, we cut the roots, which was its main way of surviving, was it grew its roots down into the ground. And of course, when you cut roots, you need to cut a lot of the top of the tree too. Why is this? Well, you've just interfered with the plant's ability to support the leaves, so you need to reduce the demand. So we did that. And then we thought, okay, we can make a nice life for this plant. Moved it up into our plant area, or potted plant area, under the lychee tree, nice protected environment for it to recover, so we could water it every day and it could get back to health. It was doing very well, and then bam, all of a sudden, it really looked like heck. And it's just a matter of a couple weeks. Right now, it's past that point, but you can see, like, we have the evidence of the old damage. And those leaves, they used to be nice and green, and actually, they looked quite a bit different when they were alive. Well, not only were they green, but they were glistening. Two things were going over here. It's a nice little indication too of what one of the problems was. So that really looks like fungus. And so it was a combination of fungus and mites. And my guess is that moving the plant into a protected location that got a lot of water created a moist environment for the fungus to move in. And then once the fungus had gotten into the leaves, it was an opportunity for mites, because, you know, the plant has certain defenses on its own, and it was struggling just to stay alive. So the mites moved in, and it looked like heck in a different way from when it looked like heck out in the grove. So anyway, we moved it here. It's away from the other plants. I don't think that the mites or the fungus would affect the other plants like the mangoes and such, but decided to be careful. And then also I thought, well, air circulation is good for fungus, and we'll see what just moving it to a new location will do. And right now on the new leaves, I'm not seeing any fungus or mites. I mean, possibly a small amount, but those look pretty darn healthy to me. So my theory is that, of course, reducing the humidity, increasing the wind circulation was good for the fungus, or good to get rid of the fungus. And then also possibly some cold weather that we had in that time could have also helped take care of the mites. But what I'm going to do to this plant right now is cut off the most unhealthy parts of it and see if it recovers fully. So there's nothing like 15-year-old wood to give your shoulder a little exercise, your arm. Even though this had new green growth, the wood was pretty darn damaged. So basically sometime when there's somebody with a chainsaw, we're going to cut off this part of the plant. That's just a wasted space. This is not perfect. As you can tell, there's a lot of damage here, but this growth up here looks young and healthy. So I think that's going to turn into a halfway decent tree. Of course, it's not something we're ever going to sell because it's, got a little bit too much character to it. But, heck, it'll give everybody a source of fresh bay leaves for cooking and such. So what would you do if you did not have the luxury of moving your bay laurel tree to an area with more light and air circulation? Well, fortunately, there are some organically approved controls that should be effective in this situation. One would be for the fungus, either copper or sulfur sprays. Just mix according to the directions on the bottle and spray the leaves. Probably you'd like to spray the trunk as well. For the mites, neem oil would probably be the first thing I would try. Just any sort of insecticidal oil. Mites are usually fairly easy to get rid of. And as I mentioned before, mites weren't the initial problem, most likely. It was the fungus that moved in, and that was a condition created by the shade and the higher humidity. And so once the fungus is treated and hopefully the situation resolved in some way, for instance, maybe you can trim some neighboring trees or something like that to get more light and air circulation. Anyway, once the fungus is treated, the plant will be more able to defend itself from the mites. But it'd be nice to give it a little boost and try and take care of the mites themselves.